Cleveland, Austria, faring for the next stop on the European EFRA Tour. It's the 1/8 Off-Road European Championships. Yes, for 1 week in August, the RC world turns to this, the biggest event in the Euros calendar, and you can watch it all here. But first, is that spring in the air?
Oh, dude, check out this feather.
Grab it!
Well, that's all the electric off-road you'll ever need, but now back to Nitro and John Heintoff with a 1/8 European Championship Buggy Final.
There's your Pro-Line grid then. David Ronenfalt, the 17-year-old Swedish driver on the Kyosho, has pole from Robert Bataille, the current European champion. He's from Spain, of course. Jerome Igon from France on the Kyosho in third. Renault Savoia has 3 European championships to his name and lines up in 4th position. In 5th, Miguel Matias from Portugal. 6th, the first of the Brits, Darren Bloomfield on the low seat. Yannick Igon, brother of our 3rd place driver, in 7th position. Elliot Boots, another UK driver, in 8th position. Christopher Svensson from Sweden on the Kyosho in 9th. In 10th, the Czech Republic driver Martin Beyer on the X-Ray. JQ in 11th, and rounding up the hot dozen is Borja Hernandez from Spain. Stand by for action then. Ronenfalt at the head of the grid. Everybody turns away in case it's getting a little bit dusty, and off he goes straight into the technical section. The pole sitter then, Ronenfalt from Sweden, the 17-year-old, best of the youth qualifiers, and he's put it on pole position ahead of some real quality behind him. The battle for second place between Bataille and Igon is certainly already been joined there. That's Jerome Igon, of course. His brother Yannick further back, starting from 7th. As they head round, keen-eyed RC racing viewers will notice that this is very similar to the electric off-roads that we've covered in an earlier programme. Well, it is. It's just a bit longer track with a slightly longer loop on it. There you can see the shortcut onto the infield. These having a little more power and a little more speed, go the longer way around, but still use that very lovely infield section with the stylish bridge that everybody seems to like so much. It is really a balancing act here. Again, a fabulously well-run event as they're onto the cobbles, and look how the second place Buggy is drifting around there. As you can see, it's polishing up on the racing line now, but again, got to give some credit to the organisers. The track is held up very well indeed. There's a change as Darren Bloomfield goes up into 3rd position on the blue Buggy, and through goes the Lossi with the Nova Rossi, and he's managed to hang on to that. I wasn't sure there. I just paused for a moment, thought he might not be able to hang on to that position, but beautiful control over the whoops as well, but just goes a little bit wide and has to give the position back to Jerome Igon, the Frenchman on the Kyosho, also with Nova Rossi power. And so those two should be fairly well matched in terms at least of the engine characteristics. Do like the way the guys are working hard. Now we are going to have to watch very carefully here because fuel consumption will come into this. It's a very fast and flowing circuit. Lot of wide open running here. That long back straight has got a kink in it. That corner there that you can see just behind where these guys are now. But effectively that is flat through there. And as you can see, the commitment required into the corners to get the buggies to turn in. They are turning in on the throttle, little flick, and then straight back on the sticks over the top of the bridge. Just hoping that one or two of the drivers, talking to them earlier on in the pits, they have lit. Oh, and off goes Igon, and that's spinning out of third position. Excellent work by the marshal to get him going straight away and mitigate his losses, but I'm sorry, he's done it exactly the same thing, and so all that work, good work for the marshal, has come to naught. I'll just finish the thought about the chats we were having earlier on in the pit lane. One or two of the drivers are taking it very cannily on the fuel mixture, leaning them out, as again we've got contact at the bottom end of the top six, trying to perhaps save a pit stop and do one fewer pit stops if possible. It's a brave tactic because clearly you're not going to develop as much power. It is slightly overcast here and not as warm as it has been, so there is an opportunity to play with the mixture, but I've got to say it's a brave manoeuvre. Because ultimately on this track, which is very much power driven around the back, you aren't going to get the same amount of speed if you've leaned down just a little bit. So there is Robert Bataille on the Mugen, another Nova Rossi powered chassis, and second place for the current European champion. Back behind him, the very obvious blue buggy of Darren Bloomfield. Veloci. And for my money, Bloomfield's holding his own there. We don't know what tactics and strategy everyone is playing, but Bloomfield at the moment, I think we can say this now that the race has started, was one of the drivers who said he was going to lean off a little bit and try and be a little bit conservative, and then drifting through on that block paving section. That's glorious to watch. Have to be so controlled on the exit from the bridge. You can't just fly it because you've got to get the buggy turned right and left fairly quickly. You can see them scrambling for grip on the slower parts of the circuit and spinning the wheels, and that of course is using more fuel. But Darren definitely saying he was one of the ones who was going to lean it out. There will be tyre wear to think about as well in this length of race as Bloomfield begins to challenge for second place. Bataille just holding him off there. Ronefalk is up the road here and is stretching away. Haven't seen the young Swede for a while, and here comes Bloomfield. Slight mistake by the second place driver, the Spaniard, just for a moment catching up, and oh, he didn't really find that there. So has he just let the Brit go through? Is there a problem, or is he just playing the waiting game? Put €5 in the box, I'm going to say it. There's a long way to go in this, and tactics will play a part. So Bloomfield then, Darren Bloomfield qualified 6th, now up into second position. You do get the feeling, don't you? Just look at these two buggies. They aren't perhaps running at full speed, certainly not a qualifying pace at the moment. Looking at the times, they're just a little bit off. Now looking further back down the field, and that is the number 4 of Savoia getting caught up there, and I think that's Elliot Boots in there. Yes, it is. So they were battling just at the bottom end of the top 6, and someone else has gone over there. That looked like Borja Hernandez from Spain on the LRP. Just going back to this, the timing screen showing, as I say, nowhere near the kind of times. And here's the pit stops. Here's the pit stops. This is all about teamwork, of course. Magnificent. Oh, no, that was almost an unsafe release there, to use Formula 1 terminology. Bloomfield goes through. So now he is right behind the leader. Ronefalk has made a stop. And Bloomfield is definitely running longer. He has not stopped. So that big lead that David Ronefalk, the Swede, the 17-year-old on the Kyosho with the Orion power, he stopped earlier. He was going quickly, very quickly, and very much the quickest buggy in the first part of the race. Now Bloomfield in second with that little tap there. He'll just drop back so as not to have... And he's in the pits. Oh, and he's duffed the pit entry. That's a disaster. Any form of motor racing, into the pits and out of the pits are the times when you can make up the biggest, and that was at least 2 or 3 seconds, and there was a certain amount of resignation by the pit crew there as he just flopped it back on down onto the pit lane. But all that good tactics from Darren there is thrown away. He's lost a good 2 or 3 seconds. Did go longer into the race now, and there's some frantic calculations going on here in the commentary box. Fingers and toes. And there's an error by the leader. Ronefalk, the pole sitter, has gone over. I'm just trying to work out whether Bloomfield can make this race now on 1 fewer pit stops. He went a bit longer, quite a bit longer in that first run. He will have to just moderate his pace a little bit, I think, as he did in that first stint. Oh, this is magnificent stuff. Lots of tactics. Strategy cards being played. Now then, the young Swede. Looked like he was having a little bit of understeer there. The front end of that car not turning in perhaps as sharply as it was. There is Bloomfield in that blue Losi. Well, still plenty of racing and still plenty of tactics to play out here in our Proline 1/8 European Championship coverage. The Swedish 17-year-old David Ronefalk still leading then, but owing us a final pit stop. He's got, well, that much. Watch for the blue Losi coming in. There he is. That is second place. And that is 6th place qualifier, Darren Bloomfield from the UK on the Losi. He's been playing the strategical game and it really hasn't wound out in his favour. Has tried to stretch the fuel, but he'll still need another pit stop as well. Would expect to see him in shortly, actually, possibly this lap or the next one, and it is this one. We've just been looking at how many minutes he's got. Much better entry to the pit lane, though. Now, clearly, though, that is going to drop him down the field. Didn't need the whole syringe of fuel there, you could clearly see. So that was quite a quick turnaround. So maybe this will help him, not having to put quite as much fuel in to get him to the end. I hope they've done their sums right. As he rejoins with no break in his rhythm whatsoever. And after that fluffed pit stop earlier on when he lost a good 2 or 3 seconds coming into the pit lane, Darren has really consolidated this second position. And he's trying to make the strategy play out for him. Now clearly the Swede Ronefalk has played a different game and he has gone quicker but shorter between the stops, and we expect to see him. In fact, there he is that the leader? No, excuse me, got rather excited. It was in fact Robert Bataille, the Spaniard. He's in 3rd position. That should be his final stop unless the calculations have gone horribly wrong. Now there is the leader. There is Ronefalk coming in. Well, that wasn't quite as smooth a run, but again he wasn't at all delayed by that other buggy coming through. So that's the final pit stops. It's now a dash to the flag. Everybody having completed their fueling stops at least. Suppose you could say it, the last piece of the jigsaw, who's looked after the tyres. And the tyres, as they come into this last run to the flag, and as I say that, is there an issue with grip on the rear end of the Kyosho of the young leader? He has driven very well. Clearly laid his stall out very early, fastest qualifier, and then decided to just go and run fast laps. At one stage was a good 6 or 7 seconds ahead, but has made one extra stop to Bloomfield, and here is Bloomfield coming through, and there's no need for him now to be cautious. Whatever he's got left, literally and metaphorically, in the tank needs to be left out there on the circuit. I do wonder about tyre wear, and you've got to say that the Swede David Ronefalk has pushed hard for longer during this race. This has been a very savvy tactical run. Just that one mistake from Darren Bloomfield on the in lap to one of his pit stops. Caught the inside wall coming into the pit lane. Cost himself a couple of 3 seconds, but other than that, tactically very sound indeed. And he is picking his pace up, actually. These are some of the fastest laps that he's run. So the pace in the buggy, in the tyres, and in the driver as well. And you can see now, you don't need to look at the timing screen, that Darren is closing down David. There is the leader going through. He's got traffic now. It has been a feature, of course, since about 10 or 15 minutes in, possibly not even that, of this 45-minute contest. And there is the leader again, having to just circumnavigate incidents in front of him, and they're second, and that is way closer. I would think he's taken probably a good second and a half, 2 seconds out since we saw those final pit stops. I did think that Bloomfield got back into his rhythm after the pit stop, almost as if we'd cut the pit stop out and hadn't showed you it, you would never have known he'd had one. He was straight back into the groove. This is very much a rhythm track here in Austria. Very quick around the back of the circuit, and look at those lines. He's really getting very close indeed to the inner bumpers on the corners. He's tracing that very short distance, and I think he sniffs an opportunity here. I think he feels there's a top step of the podium, and what a run that will be if that can be done. And the leader is starting to get ragged. The Swede feeling the pressure, and you can see this is coming down in leaps and bounds across the whoops there. Big sideways slide by the leader. And I'm just beginning to wonder if Ronenfalk doesn't have the tyres underneath that machine. He looked like he was struggling from understeer, from a bit of push right from the start of the race, after the first pit stop certainly, but now it seems to me that he can't get the power down as well as Darren Bloomfield on the low C with the Nova Rossi in second. And now he's feeling the heat as well. This is great stuff. Yes, there's definitely some handling issues as they come round to complete another lap. Hard-baked and very shiny on the racing line. The buggies scrambling for grip. Across the whoops, both flying it. Oh, Bloomfield just cutting the corner a little too much there. That's going to cost him a couple of lengths or so. There's more traffic though. Is this the opportunity for the Brit? Everyone holding their breath. It's amazing how everyone's attention has now become focused on this battle for the lead. No one's had to tell anybody everything. It's a very knowledgeable crowd around the edges of this pristine Austrian circuit. In the late afternoon sunshine, there's a battle on now at the end of this 45-minute contest. And Ronenfalk has responded. His lap times have come down. He's found some kind of pace, having slowed and struggled for a little bit. Now he's managed to match the times of the Brit behind him. This is very good stuff from the youngster, showing great mental stamina. As again, Bloomfield just drifts up a little bit closer, goes for the lead. There's a wee touch, but you saw Bloomfield straight off the sticks there. Didn't want to be penalised, didn't want to look like he had taken any kind of advantage from what I'm sure was inadvertent contact. But that's heads-up driving from the second-place driver. And again, he's very close to the inside bumper there. You can flip these buggies over. They've got a lot of suspension travel, but you do not need to be hitting that high-speed apex there on the fast left-hander on the back straight. Now into the technical section again. And let's watch the body language of each of them. And I think, yes, Darren now really sniffs this. He must think he's got an opportunity. Both fueled to the end. There should be no issues now. It's going to be down to who's got the grip and who has the concentration. This is very close indeed. This takes so much out of people. Darren going a little wide there, trying to take too much speed, if anything, into that fast left-hander on the far side of the circuit. Very impressed with David Ronenfalk, who is held onto this lead basically from the start of the race. And there's a pass for the lead, and he's gone through. Oh, that's a marvellous stuff. I didn't think there was a pass on there. Through goes Bloomfield, takes the lead, clean as you like. Now, was David Ronenfalk being able to get through the inside? He was, but he's had a flick. He will let him go back through again. That is sportsmanlike and absolutely what we expect. I wonder if Ronenfalk was just a little bit taken aback there by the fact that the Brit went through where he went through. It's not a usual overtaking manoeuvre now. And he hasn't given it up, the young Swede. He's there again, and again there's contact. That was incidental. That will be allowed to run. And both of them all out of shape over the whoops. Look at the rooster tails off the back wheels of the Swedes car, and he takes out the leader. He won't be allowed to go through there. Where is the blue Losi? There it is, and again it fights back through. The car that's gone through is unlapping itself. Don't worry about that at the moment. Getting involved in the lead battle, actually. Those guys kind of need to be out of the way and be a little bit more heads up than this. As we come on to the last lap, this is still anybody's, well, any of the top two. Darren Bloomfeld has got a lapped car ahead. He won't like that. He hasn't got a clean run into the corners, and now that lap driver does pull out the way. As the Swede again has a look down the inside. Again, there's a tangle. And this time they're both going at it. No, he's dropped back again. That's smart moving by, smart driving by the Swede, and I think that's it. Surely a brilliant race. Darren Bloomfeld has timed his run through the field. He's used the tactics. First ever British European champions in the 1/8 Euros. Through he goes and takes it. Magnificent stuff and a brilliant victory. The crowd are loving that. And so are the guys up on the stand. Darren Bloomfield, your winner. Well, there is the confirmation that just on a 1/10 of a second was the gap between Darren Bloomfeld and David Ronnefolk, and our Proline results for the 1/8 European Championships. Third place to Robert Bataille and Renault Savoia in 4th position. All about the tactics, with Bloomfeld doing one fewer pit stops and being able to run to the end and take that victory. Well judged.
I was thinking, come on, just keep going, it's not over, keep going. And then all of a sudden I felt myself just one corner away and come on the back of him, and then he made the mistake on the triple, so I saw the opportunity and dived through, and then we had a couple of comments together on his behalf, but luckily I came in all right and got through the finish line.
Like last year when Robert won, it was down in many ways to fuel strategy. You made one less stop.
Yeah.
That's a key point. And how much, with Adam and his engines, his mechanics helped you over the weekend?
Oh, hugely. I mean, we've had Adam obviously working on the car. Me and Kevin have been going through the track, going through videos, watching myself over and over again. We have Mark on the tyres, with a couple of good opinions from him, and we've all worked together. It's a huge team event, even with people that aren't here, at home, back in the UK, in the US. Everybody's put in their help for me to win this.
Well, congratulations to Darren. But don't forget, if you want your fix of RC racing, just go to www.rcracing.tv anytime for more great RC action.